everybody. Welcome to ET Live at Home. I'm Lauren Zima.
I'm Denny Directo. What day is it?
It's a chicken Monday.
Apparently it's Monday, y'all. Hi, everybody. A lot of stuff happened over the weekend that I cannot wait for us to talk about, Lauren. I mean, between the latest developments with Tiger King. Oh my God, my light fell.
Oh,
wow. This is how
wow.
you know we're really at home, you guys. Okay, look at.
And also, my light fell. How 2020 is that?
I feel so Blair Witch. I'm so scared.
I'll take over from briefly. Of course, Tiger King. That's what you were getting into because
Yeah.
we are going to talk about all the celebrities who are weighing in heavily on Tiger King. I don't think there's been a piece of content that has united the A-listers with the people so strongly, maybe ever. Next up, Denny, what do we have?
Demi Lovato made a little cameo in her rumored boyfriend's Instagram Live. We'll get into that. Also, Drake shared a photo of his son, Adonis. It's the first time he's ever done it. And there was multiple photos and this heartfelt message that we have to get to.
And then love in the quarantine times, we have a proposal. Bachelor Ben Higgins getting engaged. And we had the first interview. In fact, the only interview they've done so far. So an exclusive sit down with him and his new fiance. And last up, from engagements to a wedding, except this one was with animals, ? Yes, Chrissy Teigen and John Legend officiate, perform at, do the reception food for. They cover all things at the wedding of their daughter Luna's. I believe it was a pig. Was it a pig and a bunny?
And a rabbit and a bunny and a bunny. Yep. We'll get there. Let's get through these quickly before this light falls again. But obviously, everyone is obsessed with Tiger King right now. And I feel like every day there's a different story coming out, different angle. This one had me really shook. Do you remember arguably one of Britney Spears' most iconic live performances ever from the 2001 VMAs with the snake?
Who doesn't? The snake. But what I didn't remember, honestly, was that there was also a tiger.
There's a tiger in there too. And you guys, guess what? The tiger apparently belonged to Doc Antle, one of the other big cat owners featured in Tiger King. How do we know this? Well, of course, the internets pulled up this old photo of Britney Spears from that performance where he's the tiger tamer. It's, again, the same performance where she did the snake, I'm a slave for you. I was really shook by this, and it was only confirmed because Doc had done an interview with MTV in 2016 about that performance where he revealed that that tiger had since passed. But isn't that wild that, like, the connections here?
I think it doesn't shock me because in the documentary, Doc Antle, he rattles off this list. He'd been on Letterman. He'd been on Leno with his animals. He had helped Hollywood make movies with animals like Ace Ventura with Jim Carrey and Dr. Dolittle with Eddie Murphy. So he actually had been doing a lot of stuff like this. I think arguably he's kind of the big cat owner in that documentary who had probably the most financial and broad success, it seems, from what we've seen. And he is in this photo with Britney, though. Like, it just sort of speaks to also, I mean, that documentary took 5 years to film, and these people were doing all this long before then. So there's just such a history here. I feel like even more will come uncovered. Shaquille O'Neal makes a quick appearance in some of the footage because he went and visited the zoo.
I feel like no one's talking about that. It's like I forgot that Shaq owned some tigers and he was totally in the doc.
I know. I'm loving that it is these crossings of celebrity worlds and, you know, these tiny zoos not tiny, but these local zoos in Oklahoma and South Carolina. Then Zoe Kravitz takes to her Instagram and she will sometimes post nostalgic photos and say, this is important. Like an old photo of Brad Pitt looking great. She'll say, this is important. She posts this picture of Britney Spears and Doc Antle and says, well, friends, I think this might be the end of the This Is Important series because nothing will ever be more important than this. It's been real. It's been important. Thank you and goodbye. What is wild about it is who do you side with, right? Like, and I have to say, I don't think there's a right answer in Tiger King. I'm like, well, you have a convicted felon, Joe Exotic. You have an alleged cult leader in Doc Antle, and then you have an alleged murderer in Carol Baskins. These are all of the allegations leveled against these three people. But Cardi B is taking sides. She's standing Joe Exotic.
She's dating Joe Exotic. She has actually been tweeting a lot about Tiger King. Obviously, like she became an immediate fan once it dropped on Netflix, and she actually tweeted her thoughts, particularly about Joe, where she says that she's going to start a GoFundMe account for him to help get him out of federal prison.
By
because
the
she
way, I don't know. I'll believe it when I see it. I gotta say, like,
Oh, I think it's all talk, but she goes, he shall be free. I'm not sure if I agree with her, but I also like you just mentioned, it's hard to side with anyone in this docu-series. I think they're all kind of out there and a little guilty of something. But
right.
one fan did point out that she's tweeting a lot about the show and about Joe, and she simply was just like, I stand him, leave me alone. And she thinks that Carol fed her husband to the tiger.
I mean, look, you you get wrapped up and impassioned by this documentary. I think you also have to remember there's a fourth person in here, and that's the filmmakers and how they
Yeah.
made the documentary and what they chose to include or not. For me, I think it's difficult to stand one person because there's so much mess in all of this. I mean, even Joe Exotic, the amount of legal cases he's been involved in, all these things that you would have to go through to really formulate a super long-standing educated opinion on him is probably years worth of your time, although maybe we all have it in quarantine now. Like Carol Baskins went on her website and point by point she refutes things.
Yeah.
And I did think one thing she brought up was interesting to me was she alleges that the filmmakers told her they were going to be making the Blackfish of the big cat world, right? Just how that movie exposed SeaWorld, that this would be exposing big cats being kept in captivity. I am very interested to know from the filmmakers, what kind of movie did you tell everybody you were making? How did you explain to them that you wanted to follow them for years, that kind of thing?
Because the access alone, you're wondering, how did you get all this stuff? I mean, obviously they did their homework and they're documentarians, so they had to do a lot of research and they also pulled evidence and stuff, but they just had everybody who was involved in this case and in the
Right.
story at part of the doc. And I was just thinking, were they misled? I mean,
There's
either
some
way.
points where the filmmakers appear to be hiding cameras under their clothes to go talk to people. And I
I was
don't
like,
know what the laws are in Oklahoma, but
I was
interesting.
like, were they the informants? Like, were they the informants? And I have to say that, like, I feel like Joe Exotic also kind of like set himself up. He surrounded himself and his business with some. It's clear in the documentary, these really shisty people. I mean, when you think about siding with someone, the only person I sided with is Saf, that zookeeper who got their hand cut off. Like, that's the only person I feel like is innocent and an angel and actually
We
cared
don't
about
know.
the
What if Saf has a criminal background? We don't know.
job. That's true. We don't know that. We
I
don't know.
mean, then again, a past is a past. As Joe Exotic said, everybody has a past.
Everyone has a past. Real quick, you talked to David Spade on
Oh,
Group
yes.
on Instagram Live with Chris. What does he feel about how does he feel about being cast as Joe Exotic?
Okay, so Chris Harrison, my boyfriend, and I have been doing these Insta Lives every night just to encourage people to stay home, and we're also donating to charity every day. We took a break for the weekend to have a weekend, but we'll be back. So on Friday night, David Spade was our guest because Chris has been on his show Lights Out before, and David is standing Tiger King like the rest of us. I really wanted to have him on because I want David to play Joe Exotic in the movie. I want Meryl Streep to play Carol Baskins, David Spade to play Joe Exotic. It's an award season powerhouse.
Right.
And David kind of dodged my questions on it. It sort of made me think that, maybe he doesn't want to really throw his name in the hat but he liked my tweet about it and he didn't really get into it. I don't know. He hasn't acted in a while. And now did you see Edward Norton threw his hat
Name in the hat.
Yeah.
Threw his name in the hat. Yep.
That's it. What are phrases? What are places? What are phrases? And he was going back and forth with Jack Shepard on Twitter. I could see Edward Norton slaying as well.
This is going to be the hottest role this upcoming season. I mean, will someone who plays Joe Exotic win an Academy Award? I don't think crazier things have happened, Lauren.
I'm ready. I'm so ready.
Okay, let's talk about Demi Lovato because she's been a little busy bee this weekend, as busy as one can be in self-isolation, but she made a surprise and unexpected cameo in her rumored boyfriend Max Elrick's Instagram Live. Let's take a look. You could tell that she did not know Max was on live. And in fact, you can hear him whisper, I'm on live. Like, the best part of it is her reaction where she's like in this blanket, she's like, and like runs out of the shot. It's like, we caught you. We caught you. We got you.
This is a whole new type of voyeurism, is what accidentally happens as literally everyone is going live on Instagram.
But like you've seen this play out before, like in the Bachelor world, when whoever they end up with, they have to spend months secretly together because it
Oh,
hasn't aired on the show yet.
well,
And
true. I mean,
right?
Chris and I keep kind of joking. It's like I don't want to compare the show to a virus because it's not, but there are similarities in terms of the quarantining of it all. Yeah, the couples when they're together at the end, they have what they call happy couple weekends, and they have to be totally discreet. They wear wigs, they use pseudonyms to try and hide who they've ended up with. But Caitlin Bristow infamously
Mhm.
accidentally Snapchatted herself with the guy she chose, Shawn Booth, before the season was over. She meant to send it to a producer, but instead she put it out on her story. That's always a risk. But
It
now the
really
stakes
is.
are high.
You know what's really interesting about this though is that, we ET learned last week that they're dating, and according to a source, they said it's really new and they're just enjoying spending some time together. But like, how do you spend time together during this time when we're supposed to be at home? Like, are they are they getting to know each other at an accelerated pace because they're stuck at home, or are they like kind of alternating, going home separately and meeting up later? Like, this is weird
What have
time
you
for a
learned?
new relationship.
I
You
was
know what
going
I
to
mean?
ask if there's an update on you and your man. What have you learned about the quarantine life over the weekend?
Babe, put your earbuds in. No, honestly, I said this before. I feel like we're getting a lot closer,
Yeah.
and this is just like practice, for the future. But it's going well. Although I told you this before, and he knows this, so I'm not talking mess. But like, we did have that conversation about like, if one of us needs some me time, a little space, just say so, and the other one won't get offended. I might have hinted I might need one night alone this week. I just said it. And that's okay. It's day.
I
Babe,
think it's a weird thing to admit out loud, right? Because no
it
matter
is.
what, you feel like it comes across mean and you feel bad saying it. You think, well, what are my feelings? Is there something wrong? And there's really not. It's just we all, I think, have to keep reminding ourselves that this is not normal. This is not
No.
normal. We keep calling it the new normal, but I kind of want to start calling it the temporary normal. Hopefully, this is temporary and then we move on back to our lives. Like for me, I think to myself, I don't want to risk my relationship. I'm super
Mm,
happy and everything is going so well. And so it's hard when you're thrust into this. I just remind myself that so many people are in way, way tougher situations. Our
absolutely.
healthcare workers who are in way more stressful situations. But yeah, it's the temporary normal, I hope.
I will say though, like once we go back to whatever you consider normal, and he goes back to his place, I'm gonna miss this guy.
I know.
I really
Oh,
am.
maybe he'll never leave.
Ah! On that note, we are switching gears. Actually, can you get us into the next story, Lauren? My laptop's about to die.
Wow, the technical difficulties you are having today. Is it a Monday or is it a Monday? Yes, I want to pull up the pictures because I want to see it again for myself. Drake revealing his little guy Adonis for the very first time. Of course, his son had been kept a private for quite a while. We found out about it not too long ago that he had had a child with this woman who he wasn't really in a relationship with. And I think he kind of lives in France mostly, right? So Drake is seeing him when he can, but he posts a lengthy Instagram post about his son and just trust and love and light and what we all manifest, laughter being the best medicine. And I think everybody was kind of blown away to see what Drake's son looked like. I love the name Adonis because he looks like a little Greek god.
Did you see that? The blonde curly locks and the bright blue eyes. I'm like, that recessive gene really hit hard on this one, because also he posted a photo of Adonis's mom, a former adult film star, Sophie Brousseau, and she does not have blonde hair. So
No.
he's a special looking kid. He's adorable. And I feel like, obviously in this time where a lot of people are kind of separated from their families because we're all stuck, safer at home. I think he's feeling a certain kind of way, which is probably why he shared these photos of his son. Cause he also talked about in the caption just how much he's missing his own family right
Yeah.
now, and I know everyone can relate to that.
I'm sure he's dealing with a lot. And I thought it was nice that he put out that message of like, look, remember togetherness.
That's a good point, because it's unclear whether he's actually quarantining with his son,
Right.
if photos were taken, weeks, months, years ago. But one thing's for sure, he kind of, like you mentioned, shared this message of hope for people who are feeling alone. And he's like, just connect to yourself right now and find your inner light. I'm trying to find mine where it fell behind the laptop, but everything's fine. Uh,
Well, we got a little light and love this weekend. We got those Drake photos. We got Demi's little appearance, and we got an engagement. So, yes, former Bachelor Ben Higgins, he proposed on Friday evening to his girlfriend Jessica Clark. They've been together well over a year now, and he popped the question. So we got the very first interview with Ben and Jess. Take a listen.
So I was supposed to do this really about a week and a half ago, or a week ago. And we were going to do it on tour. We were going to be in New York City. It was going to be really special and kind of be done in Central Park and be kind of very memorable for us. And obviously when the quarantine happened, my plans changed and I didn't want to wait any longer. I knew that her family don't want to wait any longer. So we just happened to be able to be quarantined with her family in their house here in Nashville. And it was a team effort. And we pulled it off, and it worked. And then finally, her sister-in-law made homemade ice cream last night. So we had an ice cream party with the family here at the house afterwards. And it wasn't as maybe like as big of an event as what New York was going to be. But I think we all went to bed last night saying like it was more special than we could have ever imagined.
Yeah, so Denny, I got to tell you, I'd actually known about this for a while because Ben and I have been. Ben was the very first interview I did in the Bachelor world when I started working at ET. I interviewed him at his photo shoot to become the Bachelor. So we kind of joke we started our journeys together. And he's the same age as me. Like we've just gotten to be good friends. So a little over a month ago, he told me I'm going to pop the question. And so I knew, and I'd like kept things quiet. And then he had to change his whole plan. He was going to propose in New York City as part of the Bachelor live show tour that he was on. He's hosting those live shows and Jess had been going with him. And, then coronavirus happened and the quarantine happened. And what I love is that Ben just said, look, I decided to propose anyway because I didn't want to wait any longer. I wanted to be engaged to this woman. And I think it's a great example of like love can happen and celebration can still happen, even though it doesn't look exactly how we pictured it.
That's so amazing. And I can't imagine, there's so many people who are being affected by this pandemic. A lot of people who had to like cancel their weddings. Engagements are not probably as elaborate as they thought, but it just goes to show you that like hang on to the ones that you love and it doesn't matter like how or when it happens, just that it's happening, So I'm so happy for Ben, especially because he's had quite the journey to love, right? To this fiance.
I asked him because he did get engaged on The Bachelor, and his former fiance, Lauren Bushnell, she's gone on to marry country singer Chris Lane. So now they're both with people. And he said, I had asked Ben and Jess, like, how do you know about each other? And he did say, look, this relationship, this commitment just felt so easy. I didn't have any anxiousness about it. Like, she's my best friend. I would give my life for her. Everything about this felt easy. And it's a good reminder too that like life throws things at us like a global pandemic. And so if you can have a love that's easy, life's going to be hard. So I think they're set up for success, and they were both just glowing and happy. So I was very, very happy to talk to them the morning after.
Well, speaking of love, there was one couple that did make it down the aisle.
They went ahead with the wedding. Nobody knew they would, all of the guests.
Amid the coronavirus outbreak, but it happened. Luna Legend's two stuffed animals, Chloe and Nosh, guys, walked down the aisle in a stunning beachside wedding officiated by none other than Chrissy Teigen. Take a look.
On this very special day, the sun is high. It's a beautiful day. Well deserved in what has become 26 weeks of an incredible relationship. Who dare gives this lamb and sheep away? Or rabbit? Say I do. All right. So.
The celeb wedding of 2020 so far, I would say.
Nicer than mine. Oh my God, it was amazing. But what was so cool about this wedding was that it was a family affair. You had Chrissy's mom there. I can't tell if it was real or not, but she was brought to tears during the ceremony when John Legend covered Selena Gomez's "Hands to Myself," which I think are very fitting given the circumstances these days. But yeah,
Oh, see, a bit of a Corona undertone to that wedding song.
it was beautiful. And yes, I did watch the whole thing live, Lauren, because what else am I going to do? I have no life.
You and I have to talk about this because here's the thing. I said before we started filming, you have to fill me in on what happened because I didn't watch it. And I love Chrissy, John, Luna, Miles, her mom. I love the whole family. I take in all their content. But I tried to watch this and I had to turn away. I headed back to Tiger King. I was a little bored.
You weren't the only one. I saw Jen Atkin in the comments troll. She was watching too, but she was trolling Chrissy like, okay, we get it. Get to the rings. At one point, Luna, because she's a child, she's running around like it's hard to get her attention to stay put. Jen goes, even Luna's over this.
As always, Chrissy goes to the full extent of detail. She baked a cake. She, they had the ceremony. It was done to the nines. I wish this couple all the love in the world as they embark on this journey together. I hope that they make it. We have yet to see how quarantine times will affect the divorce rate, but I hope that these two can make it.
Listen, if they can survive coronavirus quarantine, they can survive anything. On that note, it is National Doctors Day. So before we go, we just want to give a huge shout out to all the medical professionals, healthcare workers, and first responders really at the front line of this thing, because I know we complain and we feel like stir crazy at home. They are dealing with a much bigger battle. So on behalf of ET, thank you guys so much.
We thank you. We wish you the safest of experiences as you try and help those who need you. And we are so grateful for you guys. Thank you.
We're grateful for you guys who are watching. So make sure you come back tomorrow. Come hang out with us. Hopefully it'll be a lot easier tech-wise. But it's Monday, all right?
All right. Bye, everybody. Stay safe.